I think it's about being heard. I think that that's why the Liberals went so far as to throw out the idea of eliminating the income tax and instead putting in a PST, which is the dumbest idea in the history of mankind.
A lane for self-driving cars between Calgary and Edmonton, scrapping the income tax but bringing in a HST, telling the Canada Revenue Agency to take a hike. If you're tired of hearing the same message about jobs, the economy, and pipelines from the two frontrunners, just wait until you hear some of the proposals the other parties are putting out there to try and get voters' attention in Alberta's upcoming provincial election.
It has to happen prior to the election. It's like when you're buying between two brands of bread and all of a sudden a third brand of bread. Do you want oat bread? Oh, I don't know. What is oat bread? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to get the two types that I usually get. And that's where political brands often go off the rails.
Take the Alberta Liberal Party, for example. It proposes scrapping the income tax for most Albertans, cutting corporate tax, and introducing a sales tax that would make up the difference. It also promises electoral reform, replacing first past the post with mixed member proportional representation, which, in oversimplified terms, means voting twice, once for a local candidate and once for a party.
It is important to be heard, and sometimes to be heard you have to really light your hair on fire.
Next, there's the Alberta Party, which has suggested adding another lane for self-driving cars on the main highway between Calgary and Edmonton. Now, this may not sound like a big deal to everyone, but the Alberta Party has suggested one card to replace your driver's license and these flimsy paper health cards instead of having them separate. But are these the kind of ideas that win elections?
No, the stuff that's being thrown out now is just, it's Hail Mary passes.
Then the Freedom Conservative Party. They've proposed kicking the Canada Revenue Agency out of the province, ending equalization payments, and holding an independence referendum if a list of demands aren't met by Ottawa.
And I think that's ultimately the weakness of the ideas of the quote-unquote third parties right now, is that they're not putting up things that matter to people's lives.
The reality is, as much as you've been told your whole life that substance matters more than style, that's just not the case.
You know, if you think back to your high school elections, it wasn't necessarily the smartest kid that became the class president. It was the most popular kid. And I know we like to pretend that we're smarter as a society, but ultimately it is about the most popular kid getting the most votes.
In Calgary, Jonathan Muma, City News.